Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Scott, and today we are painting the Thunder Chieftain, which is the newest model from Parabellum Games as part of the Summer of Wardrune. This is a really cool model, so let's go ahead and dive into how I painted it. To get this model ready for painting, I've primed it using Ultra Matte Slate Paint Plus Primer from Rust-Oleum, but you could use any gray or black primer that you want. Our first step in this project is to take Abaddon Black. We're going to use this as the base color for all of the scales on the model except for the neck and head, which we are going to do in a different color later. With that black in place, we're going to take Caliban Green and we're going to do a stripe of this just below the neck on this model. We're going to use Squig Orange as the base color for the head and neck on this model, and don't be too worried if it looks weird having the colors transition too quickly. We'll use dry brushing later on to blend them together a bit more. I wanted the backside of the frill on the dinosaur's head to be different, so I'm using Averland Sunset as the base color for this part of the model. We're also going to add a small stripe of Moot Green right where the darker green intersects with the orange on the model. The final base color that we're going to use on this model is Sybarite Green. We're going to use this to create a stripe along the spine of the model that ends just after the tail starts, as well as stripes going down the side up to the belly of the model. Now that our base colors are in place, it's time to start shading the model. We're going to begin with Reikland Fleshshade, which we're going to use to shade the orange and yellow scales on the model. We're going to go ahead and use Biel-Tan Green as the shade color for the green scales on the model. Now, we don't have to put any shade on the black scales because you can't really get any darker in the recesses than black. Once all of those shade paints have dried, we're going to begin dry brushing the scales on the model. We're going to start with Dark Reaper, which we're going to use to dry brush all of the black scales. Once we're happy with the way the Dark Reaper has turned out, we're going to take Dawnstone, we're going to do a slightly lighter layer of dry brushing over the previous layer. Next, we're going to take Moot Green, and we're going to use this to dry brush the transitions both between the green and the black, and the orange and the green, and this will help make those transitions between the colors less abrupt. Our final layer of dry brushing will be done using Trollslayer Orange. We're going to focus on dry brushing this over both the orange and yellow scales on the model. Now that we're done with the scales, we're going to begin working on the saddle on the model. We're going to base coat the saddle using Baraknar Burgundy. Once that color is in place, we're going to take Screamer Pink and we're going to layer this over the saddle, focusing on highlighting each individual square that is sculpted into the saddle. After we have those base colors in place, we're going to take Nuln Oil and do a heavy wash of this over the saddle. Most of the steps from here on out can be done on both the rider and the dinosaur simultaneously, so we're going to paint the skin of our rider. We're going to use Khorne Red as the base color. Once we've finished base coating the skin, we're going to shade it using Carroburg Crimson. After that shade is dried, we're going to take Mephiston Red and we're going to begin layering this over all of the raised curves of the muscle on the model. We're going to do an additional layer of highlighting, this time using Evil Sun Scarlet, and we're not going quite up to the edge of where we painted with the previous layer of highlighting. With that all done, we're going to take Squig Orange, and we're going to use this to edge highlight all the sharpest features on the face and skin of the Chieftain. Now that all the layers on the skin are done, we're going to take Reikland Fleshshade and we're going to do a light coat of this over all of the skin. This will help blend all of those different colors of red together. At this point, we're done with the skin on the Chieftain, so we're going to take Naggaroth Night and we're going to use this to base coat all of the fabric that appears both on the dinosaur and on the Chieftain. We're going to shade the purple fabric using Druchi VIolet. After that shade has dried, we're going to take Xereus Purple and we're going to begin to highlight all of the raised creases and folds in the fabric. Once we're happy with the purple layering we just completed, we're going to take Genestealer Purple and we're going to edge highlight all of the sharpest ridges and edges on the fabric. Now that we're done with the fabric, we're going to take Mechanicus Standard Gray and we're going to use this as the base color for any rocks that appear on the model. This includes on the back hips of the dinosaur, as well as the tip of the spear held by the rider. We're going to shade the rocks on the model using Nuln Oil. Once that shade has been allowed to dry, we're going to take Dawnstone and we're going to dry brush this over all of the stones. We're going to do an additional layer of dry brushing, this time using Wraithbone, and we're not going quite as heavy as we did with the previous color. There are a couple spots on the model that are meant to represent pieces of wood. We're going to base coat those parts using Dryad Bark. Next, we're going to take Leather Brown from Vallejo, and we're going to use this as the base color for all the leather that appears across the model. We're also going to take Rhinox Hide and use this as the base color for the horns, beak, and toes on the dinosaur. Now we're going to take Agrax Earthshade and we're going to use this to shade all of the different shades of brown that we've just painted in the past few steps. Once that shade is dried, we're going to take Baneblade Brown and we're going to do two things. We're going to dry brush all the leather and wood on the model. We're also going to take and do lines beginning at the base of each horn and going about 3/4 of the way up the horn. Our next step is to take Morghast Bone. We're going to use this for two things. We're going to do an additional layer of lines going about halfway up each of the horns. We're also going to base coat any bones that appear on the model using this color. We're now going to shade all of the bones on the model using Contrast Skeleton Horde. You don't want to go too heavy with this because it will darken down the bone color into more of a brown. Once that contrast paint is dried, we're going to take Ushabti Bone and we're going to layer this back over the raised ridges and surfaces of the bones on the model. Now that we're done with the bone, we're going to take Lead Belcher and we're going to use this as the base color for any metal bits that are on the model. This includes the spikes on the tail and a handful of rings that appear across the model. For anything that looks a little bit more ornamental on the model, we're going to base coat it using Retributor Armour. This includes the little ornaments that are hanging off of the spikes on the back of the saddle, as well as a couple gold coins that are hanging from the head of the dinosaur. Our final step in this project is to take Nuln Oil, and we're going to use this as the wash on both the iron and gold parts that we painted in the previous 2 steps. And with that, we finished painting the Thunder Chieftain. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I really hope that you've enjoyed it. We're going to be doing some more videos in the near future relating to the Thunder Riders, which will go with this character model. We're going to be issuing a challenge to the community to paint these models up in the colors of real-world reptiles, so be watching for details on that coming soon. I'd like to give a special shout out to my channel members that make videos like this possible. If you would like to become a channel member, hit the join button below this video. As always, have an amazing day, and we'll catch you in the next one.